Are you ready? Good afternoon, Commissioners. If we will come to order, we'll call to order the monthly meeting of the Anderson County Budget Committee for Thursday, July 7, 2022. If it will please everybody, I'll start us off with a prayer, and Commissioner Waddell will lead us in the pledge. Heavenly Father, once again, we come to you and we thank you for all the blessings that you give us every day, Lord, most of all for our salvation, Father, the knowledge, the wisdom, Lord, that comes along with that. Please forgive us of our sins, times, Father, when we don't follow your knowledge and your wisdom. We pray, Father, you be with us today as we discuss the business of the county, the business of your people. Give us your discernment, Father, to do what's right. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioners. Robbie, I skipped over the roll call. If you would call the roll for us, please.
Sorry, we're a minute late.
It's all right.
Commissioner Fritz.
Here.
Commissioner Waddell.
Here.
Commissioner Smallridge.
Here.
Commissioner Jameson.
Present.
Commissioner White.
Here.
And I know Commissioner Denenberg won't be here. She emailed me, and Chairman Bow.
Here. Let the record reflect, we do have a quorum.
We're missing one more, aren't we?
Commissioner Creasy.
Yes.
All right, and the first item on the agenda is the cash and fund balance report. Director Holbrook, go ahead, sir.
All righty, thank you. On the cash and fund balance report ending June 30th, 2022, restricted funds for the general fund, $967,726. Committed funds are at $1.6 million. Assigned funds are $3.1 million. Unassigned fund balance is $6,998,417 for a total fund balance of $12,778,790. Cash $17,596,226. School cash $16,935,943. So that cash is up almost $750,000 from last year, $600,000. So pretty good numbers for the cash and fund balance report.
Any questions on the cash and fund balance report? Commissioner Fritz?
Would that think that would be the final total on the fund balance for the?
No, we are closing August the 15th. I talked with audit today. All those numbers will grow. We're unaudited till August. So, and the July 1st numbers will grow. We'll have some rollover money and all the restricted and committed funds once I do.
So at the August meeting, we'll probably
Yes,
have the.
we won't know until then. We are still collecting state revenue for the next 2 months. So,
Any further questions? Hearing none, moving on.
okay, and the sales tax report for May, $4,029,877. It's down 7%. The county, $512,951 compared to $673,349 last May. So sales tax, as you can see, the green line's under the gray line, so we're tapering off a little bit, but I still think those are really good numbers and what we have projected in the budget. So
Any questions on the sales tax report? Hearing none, moving on. Our appropriations. Go ahead, Robbie.
okay. Number one, the first appropriations from the Highway Department, it's $595,597.86 into asphalt from restricted for highways. This was actually FEMA money that came in June. It was too late for them to do anything in June with the money, so we're rolling to fund balance, and that's why we're moving it from fund balance to.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Waddell to approve item number 1, seconded by Commissioner Fritz. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, the second appropriation is from Tourism Department, $22,000 for a 3-star grant, increasing advertising 4,500 and signage 17,500.
Commissioner Jameson moves to approve item number 2. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion?
What is,
Commissioner Smallridge.
Just a question, what is wayfinding signage?
that was my question too.
Great minds think alike.
I'll let Stephanie answer that question.
This was a grant left over from last year and that we were able to spend last year. And so wayfinding is just, we're going to put up the signs that direct people where to go. So we'll have them, at intersections, probably by the interstate, in Rocky Top by the interstate. There'll be some in Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge already has some that directs you to AMSI. If you've noticed, there was a sign up for a long time for the Secret City Excursion Train that had been closed for several years. So we'll be replacing some of those, working with the city of Oak Ridge and that city also. So basically, just directing visitors to our attractions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Stephanie, I'm sorry. Any of them make mention of the Coal Miners Museum?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. There'll be one at the intersection near Weigels for people coming off of 75 on 128 and then 129, directing them to Windrock and the Coal Miners
Okay.
Museum. Absolutely.
All right. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, the next 4 are from the mayor. I'm just going to take them one at a time, if everybody's okay with that, since we only have 8 to begin with. The first one's is for the Office on Aging. It's a grant that we received last year. We didn't, kind of like Stephanie was just speaking to, we didn't spend all the money. So we're putting what's available, what's left with the grant back into the budget, $16,424.49.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Fritz moves to approve item number 3. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, the next item is from General Administration. It's increasing general capital projects, contributions to other agencies, $104,204.04, and decreasing committed for industrial land. It's, back in May of 2019, Anderson County committed 50% of the local match for the Norris application for TDOT's State Industrial Access Program from county industrial funds. The project provides a new connectivity to Norris Industrial Park, allows expansion of industry and access to additional industrial land. Anderson County committed based on estimated local share cost of $70,100. Norris did win the award, with TDOT covering $3+ million in engineering and construction cost. TDOT is now ready to proceed with the ROW phase and determine local share to be $208,408. This request is for 50% of difference between the estimated ROW during application and notice of determination of cost from TDOT. So I guess the price went up, right, Mayor?
It's right of way. So the initial application was based on an estimated right of way, and now TDOT has done all of the work. And I did put that documentation in there as backup to your amendments, including the email confirmation from TDOT that $208,408.08 is the additional.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Fritz moves to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no.
No.
1. Motion carries.
Okay, the next one is for the Anderson County Health Department. It is a awning grant of $100,000, increasing revenue and increasing 707.
Move for approval.
It's 100% state funded.
Commissioner Fritz moves to approve. What number are we on, Robbie? I'm sorry.
Number 5.
Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion? Commissioner Smallridge.
Yeah, I thought I remembered going there and getting a shot that they had an awning that was I
We actually,
mistaken?
yes, so we actually used a tent, and thank you to EMA. They helped align that, make that available. So that's what we used, and that's what a lot of health departments did across the state. So they have additional CARES Act money that's available, and this is something that they would like to see, or they're making available to counties if we're willing to do it. So we haven't determined where it would be yet, but I did check, since we're working on that renovation project, I did check with Mr. Blankenship and the architects, would there be room? Do we have a place for it? He said it would work, so.
So this would be permanent, though?
It would be a permanent, yes. And then we're required, as part of this particular grant allocation, we're required to install power so that if there is another situation where staff needs to be out doing drive-through services for the public, that staff would have infrared heaters in cold events and then permanent commercial fans in hot events. And then we're allowed to use up to $100,000, not to exceed. So we'd have to keep the project under that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any further discussion?
I got
Here.
one question more for the mayor.
Commissioner Fritz.
I think we approved the funding for it at the prior commission meeting or something, but, and I know we discussed it in the finance meeting. As you see, a lot of these are grants that we are doing. How are we standing on the advertisement or maybe the grants director?
Robbie and Randy have already put that, they posted job, or the description, commission approved. I think just, he already had funding, but he needed a little small extra amount of funding. You all approved that, so he ran the ads. They have interviewed candidates, and then they've asked me to sit in on a second interview of a potential candidate. That will take place on Monday, July 11th.
So
We're close.
So it's
Yes.
definitely moving forward then?
Yes.
Because as you see, this right here is well, worth it, when you see the money that's coming into the county due to grants.
Absolutely.
And I think this grant director is going to really benefit the county and getting more money brought into this county, especially with how competitive it is. And we need someone to look at these grants and go after them.
Yes. We actually leave a lot on the table where we're notified and there's just no further capacity to do the applications or do the research on the applications or even manage the grant. So we do leave a lot out there. Yeah.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, number 6 is for $3,000 for the planning and development, other contracted services from unassigned fund balance for Lowe's Design failed to budget for costs such as mileage and printing that are required to reimburse. This request will add funding for those costs to the park plan code.
Move for approval?
Second.
Commissioner Smallridge moves to approve item number 6, seconded by Commissioner Fritz. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, number 7 is a transfer major line item it's being requested from the ARPA funds for $989,900 for new witness rooms, archive reconfiguration, and moving the county clerk's, not removing the county clerk's office. We've already received 4 bids for construction and completion of the court-requested witness rooms. Archives relocation to first floor, concrete foundation. Commission has authorized the various phases of this project, from room assignment changes to tenant relocations to architect fees to design and ADA. Construction involves reduction of county clerk space and shift to accommodate archives. All 3 spaces will be modernized to eliminate existing ADA deficiencies. Securities will be enhanced for archives. Privacy component added for county clerk dealing with confidential information. This request is to award the bid. See attached. So,
Do we have a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Jameson to approve item number 7. Do we have a second?
I have a question, or you want to, if we don't, I guess if we don't have a second, we don't have a discussion.
I'm gonna go ahead and second it.
Okay. My question,
You can't.
I just got a ruling from our former parliamentarian. I think he and I discussed this before. I believe I can.
Robert's rules say small committees, the chairman has as much right as anybody else. It's determined on, it was a small committee, so that's, I did some research on that after the last time I said no. It's not in the rule, I did check that. So, it's kind of unprecedented, I know, but, that's the way I understand the rules. I'm not the parliamentarian anymore.
Mayor Frank, go ahead.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Myers, go ahead. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I guess at some point I'd like more information on this. We're not committed to this project at this point, are we?
Yes, we are. So this has been a very long time coming. So you all have actually approved, I brought up to commission the plans. ADA approved the plans. Each step of the way, this has been approved by commission. And what we finally were able to do was go to bid on the actual construction documents. So this is, the security committee approved the plan designs as well. The ADA committee approved the plan designs as well. So it's been vetted through and approved through all the various processes. This is the final, other than starting the construction, this is the final request, which is the funding.
But it would have to eventually, it would have to be approved by county commission, is that correct?
Well, everything has gone to county commission. The only thing that hasn't gone is we did not know an amount, so we've been basing this on an estimate, which we were pretty good. I think Randy and I had down between 875 and 1.2 million, which we did get some of those over $1 million bids. But this is the final step. Part of, if you'll recall, well, you're not on operations, but for instance, in operations, we moved community mediation, we moved CASA, all of that has been part of this, getting witness rooms, and then also getting archives off the 3rd floor because of the weight issues, so.
So are we voting for using ARP funds, or is that, what are we voting on right now then?
So what I did was, because I don't want to step in front of the process, Commissioner Smallridge, I put in a backup letter that is suggesting from just my analysis that the ARP funds make the most logical sense as opposed to an unassigned fund balance request. Because this body and in workshops, there has been commentary expressed that we use these dollars for infrastructure, for capital needs, and we devote them there. So because of the improvements and the nature of what will be accomplished with this, I just felt like that made the most sense to use the ARP funds. But I did the backup letter saying I didn't want to step in front of the process, and I would, be willing to, if you wanted to approve it based on feedback from the workshop that's going to take place after this meeting, maybe a contingency motion. I just don't want to step in front of this body on the ARP funds.
I guess I would like to see this deferred until at least after our meeting, upcoming meeting on ARP funds. And a motion's been wasn't made, so,
Right.
right?
You could amend the motion to defer or defer, I guess.
I,
So you can amend the
that's
motion?
legitimate.
Okay. So
And
we have-
I would make that amendment to defer action at least until after we have our meeting on the whole.
Sure. I think that's entirely appropriate, and that's why I put the letter in. I will say that prior to this meeting, we just had a courthouse security meeting, and they did do a motion, once again endorsing this and the need for the witness rooms. A great part of our meeting was actually spent on discussing security concerns, including a possible presentation to commission at a later date for more funding for sheriff's deputies in order to patrol the halls to deal with some of this conflict. So I do think this would solve a big part of that problem and potentially cut that off at the pass in terms of requests for more funding for personnel. So that took place 2:30, that meeting started, so about 3:15 or 3:20, that motion was made.
Okay, one last comment. I
Yes, sir.
guess I'm a little concerned, or maybe I need to better understand the kind of piecemeal approval of parts of this project, and in a sense, it never comes to us as a full project that we then vote on as a commission. It's just, and maybe I don't understand the process as well as I should, but
Well, I can go back and put that together. So I don't ever want to act and, for instance, go out and get architectural fees or even embark on the project if this body has not authorized me to do that. So this originally started several years ago when the judges asked for witness rooms. Then we also had the issue where the current archives was designed as a jail space that is only built for so many pounds per square foot. We were far exceeding that and have been advised that we needed to drastically reduce the weight in order to accommodate safely. Let me back up there. We have identified what shelves need to go, and then some are going to stay but meet the weight requirements for that particular space. So it hasn't come as one big bundle because it's been a going back several years as far as the request for witness rooms. So each step of the way, I had to come back to you all and say, okay, this is the plan. For instance, we did have a meeting with the judges and the district attorney general. We went through, what do you want to see in the witness rooms? We invited commissioners. We had some give and take. We had to have renegotiations, and the same thing with ADA. What was ADA willing to accept? What did they need? And every step of that way, it required particular groups approving that and then bringing that back to commission. So it's always come back, or I wouldn't have ever gone to I wouldn't have ever gone to bid if that authorization wasn't there.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Smallridge to defer till after the ARP workshop. Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
We do have a second by Commissioner Fritz. Any discussion on the deferral amendment?
I wanted to make a comment, but
Okay.
we moved on past, not on the deferral, but on this itself.
Okay. Well, go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, so this has been brought to us in sections like the mayor said, but I don't recall us ever talking about the clerk's office. That's my issue with this whole thing, is we've got a vacant space at one end of the clerk's office, and as explained to me by them, they want to move their office down, take up that empty space, but that empty space is going to do nothing but move to the other end. The purpose was, that I was told, was to move the window to where when you get off the elevator, you walk straight into the window. Because supposedly people were having a hard time finding the clerk's office. I don't believe that. That clerk's office has been there for years. It's not hard to find. We're gonna end up having to cut a hole in the marble. I don't know if we have big slabs of marble laying around, but once you cut a hole in it, it's done. I think it's a waste of money. We've spent millions of dollars on buildings in the 4 years I've been up here, tens of millions of dollars. I think it was $7 million that we just spent on the ESG, and we've got panels falling off the building already over across the street. I keep hearing people on this body and people in our local government talking about a justice center. But yet we're spending millions of dollars on the buildings we have that if we build a justice center, they're not gonna be used. So I have seen and I agree with the need for a witness room. It's crowded in that hallway every court day. I see that, but as far as for, it sounds like that old saying of, you know, the Indian talking about cutting 6 inches off the bottom of the blanket and sewing it on the top of the blanket and thinking you've got a longer blanket. You're just taking the same space and you're just moving it up. You have a dead spot over here, now you're gonna have a dead spot over here. And it's a lot of money for just that. So I think that there needs to be some more discussion on it, find out what direction the county's gonna go, and then if we're not gonna consider a justice center, then maybe we have to do these things. But I think it needs a lot more discussion.
Thank you, Commissioner Waddell. Any more discussion on the deferral motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carried. Now back on the motion as amended to defer the decision until after the workshop. Mayor Frank, go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, I just wanted to respond. Always the clerk, to say that that was not brought to this body would be to say that I was hiding something from this body. That has always been a part of that plan. The clerk actually gave up space in order to make room for the archives. So the square footage is different. He did actually, the available space he has is in the middle, that would need to accommodate a full archives. From a planning standpoint, it did make more sense to move him down when the majority of the customers that come into this courthouse do go to the clerk's office, and they do pile up in a sensitive area, which is the HR hallway, which is our medical clinic, HR, and then also pretrial release. And so it made more sense to put the archives, which interestingly was the original location when this courthouse was designed in the 60s. That was the original location for records. So they knew what they were doing then, and we're just returning to the past. And with regard to the ESG project, the majority of that has been paid for through savings, although we did add other things to that project, such as security systems for here and for the jail and for cameras. The weather event with the panels was truly a weather event. We had a storm. HR, risk management, Drew, Kim have already been there to inspect. We are filing an insurance claim. Roger has already gotten with Holston. They're probably out there right now, or we're out there earlier. That was related to the storm damage, so it wasn't a defective just falling off. The same storm damage that put down 2 trees in my yard, and then with the second attack, another one last night, so.
Commissioner Jameson.
We only have one amount of money, and it says it's come from the American Rescue Plan Act and 6 ARP funds. how much came from the American Rescue Plan?
How much did the county get in total?
No, how much, is going into this program right here?
This would be, I think the mayor's budget proposal is that all of the funds for this would come from the American Rescue Plan.
All 989, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I mean, it could come from anywhere, that's just what I was suggesting, and, out of that 14 million, yeah.
So we're
And-
not gonna be using any local tax money?
That, I'm proposing to use that ARP money, part of that 14+ million, yes,
It's
yes,
all tax money.
yes.
Any further discussion?
And I do want to add one more thing, Mr. Chairman. These ideas, I didn't come up with this idea. If you'll recall, at Operations Committee, multiple times over the years, the judges came. I usually am the one that gets dressed down about it and gets ridiculed for taking a long time. This isn't on my number one to-do list. This isn't something, when I ran for office, that I dreamed about creating witness rooms or moving archives because the floor wasn't strong enough and someone made the decision to put it up there. I just want the public and this body to know these aren't my ideas, that I'm just the person charged with making it happen and trying to do it in a way that keeps elected officials from killing each other and disliking each other. And I feel like I try to do a pretty good job of putting a plan together that's workable and that's the most efficient for the taxpayers that I can bring, so.
Thank you, Mayor. I know also, if I recall correctly, when Judge Elledge and Judge Layton first came and approached us with this idea, we didn't know it was going to wind up growing, but I think they also suggested they would be using the court security fund as well, but I don't know what the balance is in that right off the bat. I'm sure it's nothing close to this. Robbie, do you happen to know what that number is right now?
45,000.
45,000. Now, is that the court security fund that county commission has control over, or court security has control over?
Judges, the court security.
Okay. Do you know the balance of the account that the commission has control over?
112,000.
112 there, okay. So
And both of these will-
112,
Both of these will grow it when we get all the, when we close for audit this year. They'll grow a little bit, but not a lot, but yes.
All right.
112 and 45.
to remind everyone, there's two court security funds. One commission has control over, which is 112 currently. The second one, the Court Security Committee has control, which is 45, you said?
Yes.
And I think what the mayor was trying to explain was, when they first came to us with this idea, we didn't realize it was going to cause a chain reaction of other things having to be done as well. So I guess that's why the cost has grown. General Clark, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, thanks for indulging me. To the mayor's point, this was something that was initiated by the courts and the criminal justice system in Anderson County because there is a pressing need. I am required by law to encourage you to do this. There is actually a state law encouraging all counties in Tennessee to provide safe space for witnesses. And I am encouraged and required by law to advocate for this. So thank you for allowing me to stand up and say this is a needed project in Anderson County. We have conflict on this floor. This floor is about an adversarial system. And every week, we're having problems in varying degrees with conflict occurring in these hallways. The judges in my office are concerned about the potential for a real problem on this floor. Chancellor Cantrell just itemized for us just recent issues that she has had outside of the Chancery courtroom with security. We have taken deputies off of the third floor and moved them to the first floor. And one concern is that we don't have that chilling effect that a law enforcement officer would have on the conduct of litigants that are here on the third floor. With respect to my office, we have witnesses in criminal cases that are required to sit on a bench next to, across from, or just down the hall from someone that has assaulted, raped them or a family member. And I can tell you that we are struggling with witnesses who are feeling intimidated when they come to this courtroom seeking justice. And these rooms are intended to be a safe haven for them to wait to offer their testimony. So this is the standard practice that the state of Tennessee is encouraging all counties in Tennessee to employ so that justice can be done, and we are having a particular problem in Anderson County. So to that point, I would suggest these rooms are needed here.
Thank you, General. Motion on the floor is to defer decision on this until after discussion at the workshop this afternoon. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no.
No.
Motion failed at that point. So if we are not going to,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve this.
Commissioner White moves to approve item number 7, seconded by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no.
No.
Motion fails. Next item on the agenda.
Is it not just a majority?
I'm sorry?
I'm confused on the vote here.
So the first vote was to defer until after the
Right,
workshop.
what was the vote count on that?
There was 2,
2 no.
Two noes?
correct. We have to have at least 5 to pass
I got
being on this committee.
I got you.
So both motions failed, which puts us in limbo, but that's all right. I'm sure Mayor Frank and the Court Security Committee will be readdressing this issue before long. Next item, go ahead, Robin.
Okay, number 8 is from the District Attorney General VOCA grant. It's $9,837, increasing payroll code 189 and benefits, and decreasing printing, stationery forms, travel, office supplies, other supplies and materials, staff development, and other charges.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Waddell moves to approve item number 8, second by Commissioner White. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, under Section A, I was asked by Karen Newton to add EMA to the Budget Committee agenda for a possible grant application or a grant opportunity of $100,000, which they would like to use this money to purchase air packs that they have on their capital outlay plan. It would be a 50-50, 50 county match, 50,000 county, 50,000 grant. So, and I think Steve is here if we have any questions, or he might want to speak more to it.
Director Payne, go ahead, sir.
This is an opportunity to replace some equipment that we got years ago. Their time limit's about up on our air packs. If we don't have air packs, we don't go into a hazmat area. We can't control the leak. We can't help anybody that's in that area. And 50-50 match is a good opportunity. We don't have to come up with all 100% to keep our program going, because we're required, since we took that other grant years ago, almost $1 million to make sure it sustains and stays in place. So it's an opportunity to save some money.
How many air packs will that buy?
It won't replace them all. We're probably talking 8 to 10. Is that about right, Chief? Air packs in there? Yeah. And it grows every day. It goes up a little bit more.
Do we have a motion?
I move approval.
Commissioner Jameson moves to approve item A. Do we have a second?
Shouldn't we identify, I'll second that, but shouldn't we identify where the money's gonna come from that we're gonna pay?
Oh, the 50,000, the county, the match would come from unassigned fund balance.
Unassigned fund balance, okay, I think that ought to be with the motion.
Commissioner Jameson, is it all right to make that your motion, sir?
Yes.
Commissioner White, you second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is new business. Anything under new business?
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question for General Clark. On our witness rooms,
I've had nightmares like this before where Jerry's asked me that.
we've got a new judge coming on. Will she have any input, or will she have any desire to change any of the plans? Or should we wait till she gets on board?
I can't speak for her, but I can tell you with regard to the rooms, that they were designed to be flexible so that that space could be used for different courtrooms and in different ways by opening a door or closing a door. Those rooms can be used for a jury trial. They could be used for chancery court and orders of protection. They could be used for general sessions court. So all of the judges participated and had input, and those rooms can be configured in a small handful of different ways depending on what's going on up here at any particular time.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Anything else under new business? Commissioner Smallridge.
Yeah, I want to point out that, it sounds like we really need witness rooms, from everything I've heard. And I guess I'd be interested in looking at what options have been considered or proposed so that, maybe there's no good option other than the one that is on the floor right now or what was recommended. But for one person, I'd certainly be willing to look again, get more detail about the current proposal, and then also to look at any options that might have been considered in the past or can be looked at in the future.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Fritz.
And also, obviously, one of the major things that we've been discussing is, again, Commissioner Waddell said, is the Justice Center. We have been, just one of the things that's going to be on the table today that we're going to be talking about in our workshop is a Justice Center possibility. And that if we do a Justice Center, all the courts, along with the Sheriff's Office and everything like that, would be located to the Justice Center. I can't see if we're going to go the route of a Justice Center, spending $1 million doing something that will eventually be moving to a Justice Center. So, let's be, when we got 1,000,001 things we're going to be looking at, that our money could be used for other things. So, let's not throw money away needlessly if we're going to be turned right around in a few years and do a Justice Center.
If we voted today, Chuck, to build a Justice Center, it would probably be 3 years before it ever got
Well,
occupied.
I know, but even
I
if,
understand that these rooms need to be,
but in the meantime, in 3 years, we could use vacant rooms in the building, as witness rooms.
we build a Justice Center, there's gonna be plenty of empty rooms in this courthouse. It'll be a while even to build that Justice Center. The way I understand it, they're not only needed, but they're required.
Well, but the state does not put down unfunded mandates, which means we can use rooms in this courthouse as a holding room or witness rooms if need be to address this concern until a Justice Center is built. I mean, there's the ways we could get around this and be creative and spend other than spending $1 million if we go the route of a Justice Center, and that's what our ARP meeting is going to be about. Do we go that route or do we not go that route? And that's the whole purpose of deferring it to see, what is going to be our options. Let's see what we're going to do before we spend $1 million. Then after we spend $1 million, decide we don't really need to spend that $1 million.
Gentlemen, I would love to continue this conversation because there are several points that I would like to make concerning this as well, but technically, we've had a motion tonight, and it's failed. Certainly, I'm sure it'll be brought up for discussion again. Anything else under new business, Robbie?
No.
Old business.
I do have one item under old business. I received a phone call, and I think a couple other commissioners, when we voted to give the volunteer fire departments, the $12,500 stipend, the motion did not include the rescue squad, and apparently they work the fires and have requested the same 12,500. So I just want to bring it to your attention, this committee's attention. And I've had a couple commissioners ask me to, so I just, something to consider.
Do we have a motion? If I can second, can I make the motion, former parliamentarian? And I know I'm not holding you to task on this. Oh, I'm sorry. If I can second the motion, can I also make the motion? Or is that pushing my limits?
I would be more comfortable saying no, but
Okay,
I'm not going to.
you're well versed in Robert's rules. Do we have a motion to give the rescue squad $12,500 as we did the other fire departments? Commissioner Jameson moves to approve that. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion?
And that money comes from what?
Unassigned. Sorry, I
Unassigned
should have
fund
made
balance.
that clear. Fund balance?
What happened, Commissioner White, is the fire departments that assisted with the brush fires in the Andersonville community, we voted to give them funds to recoup their costs that they had with that.
So how much money are we talking about?
$12,500.
We've already done all the volunteer fire departments. We just left the rescue squad out.
Right. We're correcting the mistake.
I'm sitting right here, sometimes I can't understand
I'm very sorry.
you. You start out talking loud and then you.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried. One more thing under old business, Commissioners, if you'll indulge me. I know a lot of you all aren't very familiar with our drug court, but our drug court provides a very good service for the residents of the county. It's not just the participants that are in our drug court program that benefits from the program, but also their families and the communities in which they live in. There is a group, a department, an agency called the East Tennessee Human Resources Agency, ETHRA. And if I am telling this wrong, General, correct me, but ETHRA every year applies for grant funding that allows for them to provide services that we utilize in our drug court program. This year, ETHRA did not get awarded that grant. So their community corrections staff is going to go away as long as their treatment position is going to go away. Right after the meeting that the mayor was speaking of, I was out in the hallway speaking with a few people, and there are plans in place right now with the court systems, I believe, or other agencies is trying to find a way to fill that gap in order to do that. One of the temporary solutions would be if we could fund $15,000 that would allow our treatment provider that will be losing her job soon through ETHRA, that would at least put her on some type of staffing until the gap is filled. So that would be approximately $15,000 to continue that. And since it's already been opined that I may not be the one needed to make the motion, I certainly would if I could. I would like to ask someone, and Robbie, how would that need to work as far as how we transfer that funding over to the drug court?
We, just be a contribution to the court,
Okay, all right.
to ETHRA.
Any other procedure or red tape that we need to concern with right now?
I mean, not that I can think of off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Would someone be willing to make that motion?
I'll make the motion,
Thank you, sir.
so we can vote.
Motion made by Commissioner Jameson. Do we have a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion, Commissioner Smallridge?
Yeah, I'd like a explanation of what that position does
Okay.
and how that benefits us, or the loss of that position.
Okay, so participants in the drug court program have to attend treatment sessions. And this person currently employed by ETHRA provides that service. ETHRA will no longer have the funding to be able to do that. The court system is currently in the works of trying to find a permanent replacement for that somehow, some way, through someone else. This will give them time to be able to find that permanent solution to keep this person employed, still doing that job as a treatment specialist until we get the funding in place permanently.
And how long would 15,000 extend that position?
I was told earlier today 4 or 5 months. Any further discussion? Commissioner Jameson.
I was on the drug court committee for about 7 or 8 years, and it was really, I learned an awful lot, and there was a lot of people that you would think that would never be redeemed were redeemed. The drug court, they do a fabulous job. Now, they don't bat 100, they don't have 100 batting percentage, but they have a real good percentage. And every year, there were some people that, what I call go straight, and got off the habit of drugs, and their families came to these meetings, and it was really gratifying to see these people making progress. And I think we need to figure out some way to fund this.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Fritz.
I want to stick with my normal stance. All nonprofits are good. They all do good stuff, but we have a procedure and a place to where how you fund nonprofits, and I cannot support going out of the mechanism and supporting one nonprofit and not all the others. So I'll be voting no on this.
Don't know if it's considered a nonprofit.
Still, regardless, making donations, this is taxpayers' dollars.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Smiley.
Yeah, I don't like the precedent that we might be setting of, we can't pick up other organizations' positions. I'm concerned about that, setting a precedent. On the other hand, if we could make this I could support it if we say this is absolute it. If they can't get the money beyond what the $15,000 would pay for, and that's a cutoff, we're not going to be able to do.
Judge Spitzer, could you come to the podium, please, sir?
I got sidetracked in the hall chatting with folks.
Our motion on the floor, sir, is to donate $15,000 to the drug court program to continue the treatment specialist that ETHRA currently provides, that funding will be cut off soon. So far, discussion has been, one discussion has been that there's a guarantee that after the $15,000, it would be out. One opinion is, and they can repeat if they like, one opinion is that it's a donation to sort of kind of like a nonprofit, which some of us don't really like doing. And one person who has been on the drug court advisory committee in the past is very, very proud of the work that the drug court does. So that kind of brings you up to speed about the discussion at this point. Yes, sir.
If I can, I'll talk
Yes,
just a
sir.
little
Go
bit
ahead.
about the situation we're in.
Yes, sir.
It's just by happenstance that I'm here, but I just heard about this meeting this afternoon. But for years, we've had ETHRA, the East Tennessee Human Resources Agency, has provided services all over East Tennessee, but specifically for drug court, they've provided us with both what is essentially a probation officer, and then also with a LADAC, which is a licensed alcohol and drug abuse counselor. And she's been really the contact person for each of our drug court participants. As we're trying to help them with their recovery process, she stays in daily contact with them and does a lot of their assessments and things that they need in order to get into treatment programs and that sort of thing. But because ETHRA did not get their grants renewed for most of East Tennessee, I think they only kept 2 of 18 counties maybe, they're now losing their ability to provide those services to our drug court. And so for the last several weeks, I've been scrambling to try to talk to TDOC. I just talked to Ridgeview today, trying to figure out how do we get somebody to provide these counseling services that we need? How do we find grant funding to do that? Ridgeview's going to help us with grants. TDOC's got some personnel they're going to hopefully be able to make available to us at some point. But I'm sort of scrambling to keep the process moving because we've got applicants trying to get into the program every month that need to get evaluated, and people already in the program that need that daily monitoring and supervision. And so the LADAC that I'm losing, fortunately, she's found a position still with ETHRA in Blount County, and they've offered to let her spend some of her time still helping us with our drug court program here. So I'm hoping a day or so a week I can get her still involved on a contract basis here in Anderson County until we can figure out, is TDOC going to provide these services long-term? Are we going to be able to get grant funding to hire somebody internal to the drug court program to provide these services long-term? But if I had a small amount of funds, somewhere in that 10 to 15 range, to help me pay this outgoing LADAC to come back here and continue these services through the rest of the year or maybe early into next year on a contract basis, it would help us sort of bridge the transition from ETHRA's involvement to TDOC's involvement. And that's where we are.
Shane, I probably was confused earlier, so it wouldn't be a donation to ETHRA, it would be a contribution to the drug. We already have a budget for the drug
Right.
court, so it would just be a 15,000, we would, increase the budget, maybe other contracted services, or if that's what we're doing, a contract, or a payroll code.
Okay.
And we think we've tentatively worked out a plan to pay that LADAC, that social worker, on a invoice contract basis, so she wouldn't have to actually be a county employee. She could provide services and then send us an invoice once a month, and we'd be able to pay her like that until we could find grant funds or something else as a long-term solution.
Any benefits involved?
Benefits to her as an employee, I don't think we'd give her any kind of, retirement or anything, just straight compensation, hourly or salary, whichever made the most sense based on the services she'd be providing.
Any further discussion? So the motion on the floor is for $15,000 to go to the drug court program for the LADAC position, for a temporary LADAC position. No further discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no.
No.
Motion fails.
Thank you for your consideration, gentlemen.
What was the vote? No.
4 to 2. Takes 5 to pass. Any further business come before the committee? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Stay tuned for the COVID money workshop.
Which is